Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Hey, I wanted to jump on because this has been a theme the last couple of weeks, and I've been getting a lot of great questions and talking to people about just fears, concerns, all that kind of stuff. So I hope you don't mind. I'm probably going to post a couple videos this week to just give you guys some ideas, insight, tips, motivation, all that kind of stuff. But today I wanted to jump on and share the 5. Originally, I thought I was only going to give you 3, but then as I was making my notes to make sure that I don't miss anything, there's just 5 absolute, you've got to stop doing these 5 things. And like I said on the post, don't worry, stop eating cake did not make the top 5. So you're okay. Hopefully I didn't lose you. All right. But these 5 things are really, really common. In fact, the first 2, I can guarantee every single person watching this has been guilty of it at one time or another. So the first, and it's not necessarily in the order of importance. I tried to do that a little bit, but some of them are like kind of the chicken before the egg. They just kind of go hand in hand. So I do have my notes to make sure that I don't miss one, right? But the first is stop comparing. And I kind of alluded to that yesterday, but we have all been guilty of it at one point in time, is that we see something on Facebook or Instagram, some sort of form of social media, or we go to some get together or event, and we look at the people around us and we start comparing our current situation, whether it be our, like, how we're feeling, our life, our weight, our body, to how they are, or their success, or where they're at in their journey, or whatever the case may be. And I will tell you, as Theodore Roosevelt said, that comparison is the thief of all joy. And it could not be more true, right? When we start comparing ourselves to other people, it brings us down. Most people, it brings us down because we're looking at them thinking that they have something that's better than us, or they're in a better place than us, or better position, or whatever the case may be. And it's sometimes a natural response. Like I always say, and this is more of a different topic, but I always say we can't always control the thoughts that come to us, but we do over time can learn to recognize the thoughts, especially recognize it when it's stinking thinking. We do then get to choose how long we stay with that thought, and then we get to choose what we do with it. So when we catch ourselves comparing ourselves to somebody else, I would encourage you to stop doing that and start thinking, thank you for showing me what's possible, right? So like if you see somebody, maybe you're on a weight loss journey, since I'll post it since that's really what I'm all about, and that's what most of you are here, either weight loss or business or what have you. A lot of times it comes down to like body image, and we see someone else and we're comparing like, oh, they must have it all together, or they make it look so easy, or they this, that, or the other, right? Instead of doing that, when you catch yourself doing that, or you catch yourself seeing somebody that lost 50 pounds and you feel like, man, what's holding me back? Why can't I do that? Why can't I get my stuff together? Instead, look at that and think, wow, that's amazing, right? That they were able to do that. But also think of, or trying to literally say, thank you for showing me what's possible. To your, like, obviously if that's someone's in front of you, that's okay. But I mean, even if it's just in your mind, thinking when you see something that you start to compare, just think, I'm on my own journey. I'm on my own path. I am so grateful that that person gives me inspiration to show me what's possible. Because if any one person can do any one thing, you have that same ability. It just might be timing. It might be circumstance. It might be coaching. It might be something you need to learn. It might be something that you need to get better at. But everybody has, like, there's no one person that is any better than anyone else. It's just time, attention, skill. There's so many different things. So don't compare yourself to other people. The second thing, again, maybe if you're just joining me, it may not be in the right order. Cake's not on the list, so you're okay. Stay with me. The second thing is stop beating yourself up, right? I hear this a lot too for people. They really beat themselves up for like what I hear really commonly, and just heard a couple times this week again, is I don't understand why I can't just get my stuff together. I don't understand why I like struggle with this. I don't understand why I go to food when I'm stressed out, it's not an observation for them. It is, at least for the people that I talked to this week that don't have that are looking into the coaching for this reason. It is being able to look at it and not beat yourself up, but learn. Like, just because you're not where you want to be, start thinking about being grateful for what you have done, how far you have come, versus rather than beating yourself up and feeling like you failed. That was the thing I wanted to mention, is like, you don't fail until you decide to quit, right? If you try something and it doesn't work, that means that you've learned one thing that doesn't work for you, right? Or maybe it's, for example, maybe it's a diet or nutrition plan that you pulled off of the web or whatever. Okay, you tried it. You probably maybe lost 10, 15 pounds and gained 20, 25 pounds back because over time you get frustrated. This is super, super common. That's why I'm sharing this. So you do something, you pull it off the web or whatever the case may be, you follow it for a period of time, you get stuck, you're not sure what to do, or life gets in the way, or whatever the case may be. And you end up like, maybe you saw some initial momentum and then you end up gaining that weight back. And then you feel like you failed because why couldn't you just stick with it, right? Well, what you could have learned from that when you change your perspective is like, okay, I tried to do it on my own. What happened when I got off track? I got off track because I got frustrated, or I got off track because I let life get in the way, or whatever the case may be. And what could you do to solve that? What could you do to do differently next time so that you're learning from it, right? You don't fail just because you haven't figured it out yet. Again, like, may not be where we want to be, but thankful that we aren't where we used to be, right? And then the third, and this is where, I don't know, maybe I'll switch it up. I'll make the third the third is stop blaming time or circumstance or others. You know, I'm a little bit tough love coach, right? So if you're on this page, you must be good with that, because what I've learned over time is that my greatest coaches are the ones that just were brave enough to tell me the truth. That's the only way that we change. And I will tell you, so many times I see people in a spot where they are stuck because they continue to blame time. I don't have time, or this situation, or it's my house, or it's my kids because my kids are super picky eaters, or I'm running around for all these sporting events. And all of that might be very, very true. And you may have some very real challenges to overcome and navigate. But when we stop making the time an issue, or work an issue, or it's this person or that person, or this person's not supportive, or whatever the case may be, when we stop blaming that other person, situation, circumstance, or whatever, and take 100% responsibility, those things do influence. I'm not taking away from that. Who you choose to surround yourself with, how you choose to spend your time, all of that does impact you. You do want to choose who you surround yourself with wisely, right? That does have an impact. But you still need to take 100% responsibility for those choices, because that is the most empowering thing you can do. Because when you stop kind of blaming others, or blaming time, or blaming a circumstance, and start taking 100% ownership, you give yourself the power back. You give yourself the ability. It might be hard. It might be frustrating. You might want to start to blame, right? You don't blame. You just look at it without condemnation and decide what changes you can make, right? But when you take that ownership, that gives you the power to do something about it, right? Doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. It just means that you realize that there may be things that are not in your control, but there are things that are within your control. Most everything is based on the choices that you've made, right? So choose differently and figure that, or work through that, versus blaming, right? And then the fourth would be stop procrastinating. A lot of times procrastination is super common, and I can be guilty of it for sometimes too, but what procrastination typically comes down to is lack of knowing what to do, or more often than not, it's feeling overwhelmed. Like, we just don't know where to start. It's the person that feels like they failed so many times in the past. The person that but legitimately has 100 pounds to lose. So that number is just overwhelming. Or the person that knows that they struggle with food, and so getting started feels overwhelming. Start with something small. Start with something simple. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be everything all the time overnight, right? think about, like, chunk down that goal. For example, a lot of people right about now might be saying, oh, Thanksgiving's around the corner, I'll just wait until after Thanksgiving to start eating well. Well, you got like 2 weeks till Thanksgiving. And if you're in our program, we teach it like there's a way to enjoy the holidays without sabotaging your efforts and without going on. But the more you procrastinate, the more you put it off, the further you're just delaying you being your very best version of yourself. Looking and feeling your best is the best thing you can do, not just for yourself, but it is actually the most giving thing you can do for your friends, your family, your community, your work, whatever the case may be. Because we can't give our best if we don't feel our best. We can't give what we want to give and be running on empty all the time, right? It is the most giving thing that you can do for yourself. And so then that would bring us to number 5 and final is stop quitting and stop giving up. So a lot of times whether it be like we get started, we get going on some momentum, and then something doesn't go our way, and or life gets in the way, or maybe you're trying to do it on your own and you're feeling frustrated because you've gone up, you've gone down, or you're not seeing the changes you want to see in the time that you want to see them, or whatever the case may be. So then it gets frustrating and it gets overwhelming because you feel like, why am I even doing this, right? Why am I even doing this if it's not producing the result I want, if I'm not feeling better, if I'm not seeing differences in my clothes, or whatever the case may be? But a good thing to think about is, again, it's a learning experience, because if you weren't doing anything at all, then what, right? It's better to be trying and be in continual motion than just throw our hands up in the air. And I'm preaching to the choir, right? But it's better, because I have to a lot of times think about that too. Like if I'm not where I want to be in a certain goal or whatever, it's if you think about giving up, or you think about quitting, or you feel like overwhelmed or any of that, better that you're doing the things to be on track, to be healthy, than not doing them at all. Because if you weren't doing them, and that was my point, I was talking to someone else about this within this week, and they were feeling frustrated because of where they're at. And it's, well, what would it be like if you weren't doing the things? Like if you weren't doing X, Y, and Z, can you see where it may be worse than where you are now? Because at least with doing X, Y, and Z, then you're in momentum, you're moving, you're tweaking, you may not see the exact results and the exact timing that you feel you want, because a lot of times we want really quick results, right? But there's other things to be considering. Like there could be a hormone issue, there could be a food intolerance, there could be really, really high stress levels, there could be a number of different variables that would affect, even if you're doing all the things, right? Even if you feel like you're doing all the things, there are so many variables that come into play. But better that you keep doing all the things and keep tweaking and trying and learning and becoming mindful and all of those good things, because without all the things, then how much worse off would you be, right? Then you're back to beating yourself up, feeling poopy, all that kind of stuff, right? So I hope those 5 things were helpful. If they were helpful, then please comment below, comment. If you feel like this is helping you, all I ask is that you invite friends and family to join you on this page, and I will talk to you soon. Let me know what you want to hear more about. Love the questions, love the input, all the good things. Bye, guys.